Tonight on CTV News at 6, charges in the death of a St. Albert dentist.
She was a very kind lady, soft-spoken.
2 men arrested after the discovery of a body following a fire. How ankle bracelets could bring peace of mind to victims of violent crime.
This isn't about offenders' rights. It's about a victim's right to live without looking over their shoulder.
And
if you have the right to choose to live, then I have the right to choose to die.
Days before his scheduled death, an Edmonton man advocates for Maid.
Done with the snow, but the cool conditions sticking around.
CTV Edmonton, local breaking news with Jeff Hastings.
Good evening. 2 men have been charged in the death of a dentist in St. Albert. RCMP say they were trying to get money from the woman. CTV's Evan Kenny reports.
A restoration company works to fix this home in St. Albert, damaged in a fire last month, a fire that revealed a body inside.
RCMP went in and confirmed that Maid, 59-year-old resident of the home, was deceased.
Paul Gagnon lives next door. His dad called 911 when the fire broke out. He says his family would help Diab with maintenance.
We were taking care of her garden in the back and all the walkways for the snow. She was a very kind lady, soft-spoken.
Diab was a dentist. Someone with the same name worked at Windermere Pediatric Dentistry. We tried calling the office.
Thank you for calling Windermere Pediatric Dentistry. The office will be closed for an undetermined amount of time.
We obtained a great deal of really good quality surveillance footage from residents and businesses that really assisted early on.
RCMP have charged Mohammed Orfali with first-degree murder and Mohammed Mansour with indignity to human remains and accessory after the fact to murder.
This was a targeted attack. One of the suspects was acquaintances, knew the victim. We do know, based on our evidence thus far, that there was the ultimate goal was to get money from the victim.
The death and circumstances around it worry neighbors.
It's never a good thing to hear about, you know. It's kind of freaky that something like that could have happened while I was at home, you know, just a couple meters away from the scene.
RCMP would not confirm the cause of death. The 2 accused will appear in court in the coming weeks. Evan Kenny, CTV News, St. Albert.
Police have charged a 56-year-old man with sexual assault against women met on dating apps. William McMullen is facing a number of charges, including sexual assault, unlawful confinement, and voyeurism. Police say the accused met women on social media apps before inviting them to his home. Investigators allege that's where he drugged and sexually assaulted them. The charges stem from a report last April. Police are investigating 4 separate incidents. McMullen will appear in court on Friday. Data from ankle monitors in Alberta will now be available to more than just law enforcement. If the wearer gets too close to a previous victim, that person will now get a warning. The province says the technology will bring peace of mind to survivors of violent crime. Connor Hawk reports.
This isn't about offenders' rights. It's about a victim's right to live without looking over their shoulder.
The Alberta government is spending $4.1 million, part of Budget 2026, to make it easier for past victims of crime to know if the perpetrator is close by.
The victims of criminal acts will be able to receive alerts if an accused approaches a restricted location, such as a home or a workplace.
Public Safety Minister Mike Ellis says real-time alerts from ankle bracelet monitors will be sent to the wearer's previous victims if a border is breached.
I've seen actual fear in the victim's eyes, and it's a fear that dictates where they shop, where they work, where they can even feel safe letting their children play in a park.
Advocates for victims of domestic violence say the opt-in policy is a step in the right direction.
I think it's a really important step in systemic change, and we were very pleased to see the announcement of ankle monitoring, last year, and I think this just furthers the commitment.
Put some of that power back in the hands of victims and their families so that they can create safety. It's not about taking away other people's rights, it's about creating that safety.
There's also support from NDP leader Naheed Nenshi, though he says he'll be waiting to see how the government follows through.
We have a serious problem in the province with domestic violence in particular, with increasing rates of violent crime, and the UCP's so-called law and order agenda hasn't really helped very much. So listen, this is a good thing, but it has to be part of a broader anti-crime and public safety strategy.
Ellis says that some of the money could be used to purchase more ankle monitors if they're needed. Danielle Smith says if that's the case, she'll do her best to make it happen.
If the courts decide that they need more, then I'll be putting pressure on Mike to buy more.
Ellis says the new notification technology will be up and running later this year. Connor Hogg, CTV News, Edmonton.
The parents of a man from Edmonton shot and killed by a co-worker were hoping to see changes to when convicted murderers could apply for parole. That hope was shattered this afternoon as the bill named after their son Brian was defeated in the House of Commons. Amanda Anderson reports.
We can't bring back our loved ones, but we can try to make subtle changes to our system.
That's why Diane and Mike Alisic traveled to Ottawa from Edmonton to see a private member's bill named after their son Brian voted on in the House of Commons. Brian Alisic, a 35-year-old father, was one of 3 armoured car guards killed by a co-worker while servicing an ATM at Hub Mall in 2012. A 4th person shot survived. Travis Baumgartner was sentenced to life in prison without the chance of parole for 40 years for the murders, one of the harshest sentences in Canadian history, until a Supreme Court decision in 2022 that allows him to apply for parole after 25 years.
We know that parole hearings traumatize victims. We do not want victims to be subjected to parole hearings every 12 to 16, 18 months.
As it now stands, if a convicted murderer applies for parole and is denied the first time, he or she can apply for another parole hearing just 1 year later, and year after year after year.
Bill C-243, or Brian's bill, would have spaced out parole hearings to 5 years.
And the House will now proceed to the vote.
Conservative members in the House overwhelmingly voted for the bill.
All those at my right in favor of the motion will please rise. 6th row on my right. Oh, come on. 5th row on my right.
It was a different story on the other side of the House.
I declare the motion defeated.
Brian's bill was defeated 136 to 192.
The bill isn't about politics. It's about people. It's about victims. It's about families whose lives have been shattered by senseless, brutal violence.
Kerry Diot calls the result disappointing, saying he won't stop pushing the Liberal government on parole reform. Amanda Anderson, CTV News, Edmonton.
Calgary's mayor says past and current council members are not the target of an RCMP investigation that saw search warrants executed at politicians' homes. It includes former Mayor Jyoti Gondek and a sitting city councillor. Tyson Fedor has the latest.
An RCMP investigation involving a sitting councillor and former members of City Council is becoming a distraction at City Hall.
I believe there's a healthy mistrust in council and in this administration right now. I think that's very important to be skeptical on what goes on here.
A complaint was received by Calgary Police Service last October and passed along to RCMP. But the focus of the investigation is unclear.
Again, the RCMP is the one that has primary carriage of that investigation, so I'm not able to say more than that.
Mayor Jeremy Farkas says he believes the investigation is not targeting Ward 10 councillor Andre Chabot or former Mayor Jyoti Gondek. Both had their cell phones seized and homes searched. So did former councillor Sean Chu.
At this point, I understand that they are not the center of the investigation. There's allegations that are leveled against a third party, a local business.
Gondek released a statement saying she is cooperating with the investigation. She says the process has been invasive and that she will review it with her lawyer to see if it was justified.
We're kind of accustomed to expecting accountability and transparency, and the transparency part simply isn't here in this case, and that leads to all kinds of speculation.
Premier Danielle Smith says she's unclear what the investigation is all about.
We just have to wait for the process to play out. It's an active RCMP investigation, but I have no knowledge other than what I'm reading in the newspaper.
But one political expert believes the RCMP need to be more transparent about the investigation.
I think it's incumbent on the RCMP to put to rest any sort of suggestion of involvement in corruption if it is found that, in fact, these individuals were not involved, but simply sources of information.
Tyson Fedor, CTV News, Calgary.
The Premier says the earliest Albertans could see relief from the provincial portion of the gas tax would be June 1st. Danielle Smith says Alberta is not in a position to do it sooner, especially if oil prices drop drastically again.
Now we're entering a budget year where we already know we're going to face a $9.4 billion deficit with another $1.5 billion that is not going to be available to us. I guess we're just not prepared to take that risk. We haven't realized any surplus revenues for the next budget year, and that's the reason why the legislation is written the way it is.
Smith says her government will look at other affordability measures but didn't specify what they would be. An Alberta Legislature committee has recommended a new Auditor General. Philip Peters is currently the General Counsel and Ethics Officer within the office. If he does take over, Peters will have to complete a high-profile investigation into questions around health contracts. Current Auditor General Doug Wiley was unable to finish that before the end of his term. The opposition NDP claimed the UCP government removed Wiley to protect its own interests. 4 more recall petitions for United Conservative Party MLAs have failed. Elections Alberta deemed a 5th petition targeting a New Democrat invalid for missing the submission deadline. Justice Minister Mickey Amery is the highest profile politician of the bunch. The petition to have him removed got about 5% of the required signatures. So far, 26 recall petitions have failed. 2 still in progress have until June 10th to collect signatures. Edmonton Fire says everyone made it out safely after a townhome went up in flames in North Edmonton. Fire crews were called about 11 o'clock this morning to the complex at 141st Avenue and 121st Street. Crews say they could see heavy smoke from blocks away. The district chief says they were able to make sure the fire didn't spread.
Yeah, it was tough. It started in the basement and got into the main floor and top floor and into the roof, so they were able to contain it from both sides with ladders, and there was approximately 28 firefighters on scene, so it was tough with weather conditions, but they did a good job. No one was injured. All occupants were out.
The district chief says the unit is a total loss. Investigators are looking for a cause. City Council wants to know how you'd build Edmonton's next budget. In December, Council will set the city's financial path forward through the end of the decade, and it's taking a new approach to that process. Mayor Andrew Knack is hosting 12 public feedback sessions throughout April to hear from Edmontonians, 1 in each ward with the area councillor. He believes the interactive engagement will give the public a better understanding of the trade-offs that come with tax cuts.
The only ways you can do that are by significantly reducing transit service and policing and fire rescue. And so when you start to provide and paint a clear picture about the impact of decisions like that, I think we get better feedback.
The mayor says council kept taxes artificially low during COVID years, which led to big increases more recently. His goal is to find a middle ground for property taxes through this process. The Alberta government will spend $20 million over 3 years to subsidize wages for 15 to 24-year-old workers. The province says the new money, in addition to $8 million committed last year, is expected to help about 3,500 employers hire more than 8,700 young Albertans. Alberta Jobs Minister Joseph Scow says it will help businesses like the Patricia Street Deli.
So businesses like the Patricia Street Deli that are embracing the training opportunity, which comes with risks, there's no question, but embracing that, they are building Alberta, they're building the community, and we owe them and businesses just like them a huge debt of gratitude.
Knowing that these young people, they are our future, and so Glenn and I believe that we have an important job to do.
So far, 859 youth have been approved for jobs through the incentive. Winter weather may be hanging on, but MacEwan University is looking ahead to summer by holding a job fair for students. Students and employers came together today at the inaugural Get to Work Fair to explore seasonal job opportunities. Employers in both public and private sectors attended, each with at least one open position for a student to fill.
Job search, especially for students, is really tough. It's really hard to find some great opportunities, but I mean, you have to work hard to have something, so that's what I'm doing right now.
For the job market, especially right now, is not the best that it's ever been, but I do feel more optimistic for students.
Fair is meant to help students find jobs to gain experience and skills in their chosen fields, as well as making money. All right, Josh, did I see some sunshine outside?
Yeah, all of a sudden in the last half hour or so, the clouds have broken a little bit. It was a snowy start to the day, and even after a bit of a break, even early this afternoon, it got really blustery out there. We're done with the snow for now, though. Not done with the cold temperatures, however. Minus 11 in downtown Edmonton right now. Minus 12s off to the west and northwest of the city. A bit of wind, so wind chill downtown. Minus 18. Wind chill at the Villeneuve Airport at minus 20. It looks like minus 11 is going to end up as the daytime high for today. We were at minus 13 early this morning. 4 degrees is the average daytime high, so 15 degrees colder than average today. And we're going to be in the same range again tomorrow. In fact, we probably don't get back to average until maybe the end of next week, although temperatures will moderate a little bit by Friday. There's the break in the cloud cover. Snow earlier this afternoon, even one heavier pocket there in the purple slid through, but now into some gaps in the cloud and a bit of sunshine poking through. It's not going to last all that long, though. There is more cloud than clear sky on that map. And if you look off to the southwest, you notice in the BC interior some of that snow. That system is going to target the southern half of the province, Red Deer South specifically, but may even give us a few scattered flurries just after midnight tonight. We'll talk a little bit more about that. For the most part, though, no snow tomorrow. Minus 16 in the morning, minus 9 in the afternoon, and light wind. We'll talk about the moderation in temperatures that takes place Friday, Saturday, Sunday in just a few minutes.
Thank you, Josh. Still ahead on CTV News at 6, advocating for medical assistance in dying.
I just feel like I'm going to be at peace. All right, and peace is something that I've been searching for years and years and years.
Alberta man reflects on right to die as he prepares for his final moments, and later.
We are short. There's no doubt about it.
Similar air traffic control staffing shortages in the spotlight following a fatal Air Canada crash south of the border.
The CTV drone powered by Century Casino. 3 great locations: Edmonton, St. Albert, and Century Mile.
Coming up Thursday on Your Morning, is social media social anymore? What the data says about how we use the platforms and how apps are evolving. We'll see you at 6.
Your Morning Edmonton, weekdays.
Programming brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
An Edmonton man scheduled for a medically assisted death later this week is spending one of his last days advocating for Maid. He says he's horrified by the UCP government's proposed restrictions on Maid, saying no one can understand another person's suffering. Nicole Weisberg has his story.
On October 5th, 1971, at the Royal Alexander Hospital. What time were you born?
10 p.m. My mom told me.
See? Who knows?
A meeting between friends spent recounting and reminiscing.
I wore this hat.
It is the hat I mentioned.
I wore like red orange pants. I wore like a red shirt.
Oh my gosh, I
just
swear.
For funsies.
This is one of the last times John Maloney and Barbara Nichols will see each other. John is scheduled for a medically assisted death on Friday.
Knowing John and knowing that as he's a very organized person that way, right? There is a good possibility. A good likelihood that he would do this once he started doing the research and realized where he was at in his medical condition.
John is blind. His vision loss has been gradual due to cataracts, injury, and glaucoma.
I lost my sight totally in 2021. I was going through sight loss pretty much for my whole life. Actually, my left eye's fake. Sometimes it waters up, so sometimes you'll see me wipe it. So. Also I have what's called Charles Bonnet syndrome. Like right now I see like really weird hallucinations, and they're constant. Like right now when I'm talking to you, I see all these pink floaty lights going all around.
John says the hallucinations are so distracting, it's difficult to work, sleep, even concentrate on conversations. He also has type 2 diabetes and a low thyroid. 2 years ago, he attempted suicide and was revived by paramedics.
It's not about dying, it's about ending the pain.
John then learned he may be eligible for Track 2 Maid. It started in 2021 and is open to those with severe, incurable, and intolerable conditions whose natural death is not reasonably foreseeable. John was approved last month after meeting with 3 assessors.
I saw 3 because 1 actually denied me, and this is why I know it's a good process, because they don't automatically say yes. The other 2, though, they were like, we can't judge your quality of life, and if you don't think you have quality of life anymore, then yeah, then it makes sense.
Since then, John has been getting his affairs in order, including finding a new home for his cats and determining if he can donate his organs. Last week's news, the UCP government plans to prohibit Track 2 Maid, prompted him to share his story.
I want people to be aware of what the government is actually doing. If you have the right to choose to live, then I have the right to choose to die. Right? It's about autonomy. It's about choice.
Here's Turn. Turn.
I love this song. This is the song I think I want to play at my day.
If John doesn't need to be in the hospital for his Maid procedure, he plans to do it in his favorite chair, with friends by his side. He knows what he wants for his last meal and what he wants to hear in his final moments.
I just feel like I'm going to be at peace. Right? And peace is something that I've been searching for years and years and years.
Nicole Weisberg, CTV News, Edmonton.
Bill 18, the Safeguards for Last Resort Termination of Life Act, passed first reading last week. It must go through 3 readings and a vote before it becomes law. The province says the legislation will not impact anyone previously approved for Maid. Coming up, Olympic inspiration.
He could do diving, and it doesn't matter which sport you could do.
Why a young Alberta swimmer is drawing inspiration from a Canadian Olympic bobsledder. And later,
these products were launched to us without guardrails, without education, without warning to any parents.
in a landmark decision, a California jury finds social media giants liable for creating harmful platforms.
Staying chilly for at least one more day tomorrow, and then we should be back closer to 0 for daytime highs for Friday and the weekend. We'll get into that in a little more detail right after the break.
Programming brought to you by Century Casino. 3 great locations: Edmonton, St. Albert, and Century Mile. Programming brought to you by Basement Systems Edmonton. Contact us today for all things basement-y.
A Canadian Olympic bobsledder who traded the pool for the track is now inspiring a girl in Alberta. Fresh off his appearance last month in Milan, the athlete is now fulfilling a promise he made to a 7-year-old to teach her how to dive. CTV's Tyson Fedor has their story.
It's a moment grade 1 student Kaylee Wilshire did not think would happen. Before the Winter Olympics, Kaylee got to introduce a member of Canada's men's bobsled team in front of her school. That's when she became fascinated with Johan Eskrik Parkinson's journey from the water to the ice.
He could do diving, and it doesn't matter which sport you could do, and also it doesn't matter if you can do 2 things at the exact same time.
Eskrik Parkinson narrowly missed qualifying for Team Jamaica at the 2024 Paralympic Games for diving, so he pursued bobsledding, making his first Olympic appearance this year in Italy. Kaylee connected with his story.
He said, I want to follow up with you. I got to go to Olympics, so be right back. And then he did. And that's just like his integrity and who he is.
I think it's a story of mentorship. I would not be where I am today without all the mentors that helped me get here from when I was her age, around when I started diving.
The pair reconnected on the diving board. She started small before moving higher.
Jumping off the 5-high board.
Kaylee loves diving, a sport she one day hopes to compete in at the Olympic level.
You can do lots of cool moves, and that you can also dive headfirst.
Several previous injuries only made her more brave on the diving board high above the water. With each plunge, Kaylee shows no fear.
I cracked my head open 2 times, and also I broke my elbow. But I kept going.
For Eskrik Parkinson, mentoring the next generation in a sport he loved growing up has been rewarding, but not enough for him to possibly think of qualifying for the games in Los Angeles in 2028.
I think I put on 30 pounds in the last 2 years or so, and getting back into diving would require a complete physique change, a complete mental change. So I think I'm going to stick with bobsled as long as I can.
Tyson Fedor, CTV News, Calgary.
Well, I was going to ask you about snow and cold, but are those elephants on your tie?
They are.
Yeah, nice. Very nice.
I think so. They just look like polka dots on television, but now you know. Take a look outside right now. Is that sun breaking through the clouds? Yes, it is. A little bit of sun poking through the clouds. River Valley Skycams brought to you by Action Furnace. Fixed rider, it's free. This is a snowy start to the day. It has turned around nicely, though. The clouds are going to roll back in fairly shortly. And for the rest of tonight and most of tomorrow, we're under mostly cloudy skies. Minus 10 for your daytime high today. We mentioned earlier in the newscast, minus 11. Minus 11 is the warmest we've been this afternoon. This minus 9.7 came in just after midnight, so early this morning. Minus 15 Fort McMurray, minus 15 in Grand Prairie. Look to the south. Red Deer got to minus 6 today, so a little bit better. Minus 4 range in through the Calgary region. North of Fort McMurray, cold warning in effect. You have wind chill once again for another morning in the minus 40 range. Snowfall warning remains in effect through the mountain parks. Areas off to the northwest of Edmonton that had the snowfall warnings yesterday and this morning. Those warnings ended this afternoon as the snow tapered off. The snow has kind of tapered off as well in through the mountain parks, but it's going to come back later on tonight. We'll show you that in a moment. There's the breaks in the cloud cover that we're getting around the Edmonton area and off to the northwest in the Westlock area. Here's the snow that went through earlier in the day today. It kind of fizzled out as it moved off to the east. And that is the system that we're watching for overnight tonight and through the day tomorrow. There's your heavy snow through the mountain parks once again overnight. Nordegg, Rocky Mountain House, you get some snow by about midnight. In through the Red Deer region, you could pick up a couple centimeters. That might be 2 to 4 centimeters worth of snow along the QE2 south towards Calgary. The saving grace is that this goes through really early Thursday morning, and by the time we get to like 8, 9 o'clock, it's off into east central Alberta. Watch how close this comes to the Edmonton area, though. There's a slight chance after midnight into the early morning hours that you might see a few scattered flurries in southern parts of the Edmonton region. I think most of the city's going to miss out on that snow, and certainly the accumulating snow should stay well to the south of us. But there's a chance you kind of get grazed in the Leduc area and maybe even the south side of the city. By the afternoon, cloudy with a few sunny breaks, and then we'll get some clearing tomorrow night. The coldest temperatures Thursday night will actually come in at about 9, 10 o'clock, somewhere in the mid-minus teens. And then after that, things will start to warm up again. Minus 15 in Fort McMurray right now. Minus 16 in Grand Prairie. It's minus 11 in Edmonton. And Red Deer, you've slipped to minus 8. Banff was one of the only spots in the province above 0 today. Minus 23 in Fort McMurray with wind chill, minus 20 in Grand Prairie, and we're minus 11, feeling like minus 18 here in the city. But wind should be non-factor overnight tonight and through the day tomorrow. Minus 16 in the morning, minus 9 in the afternoon. We'll drop to about minus 15, minus 17 Thursday night, and then by Friday morning, we're in the minus 12 range. So there's some warmer air that'll start to push in, and daytime highs will be close to 0, it looks like, for Friday through the weekend and into next week. And yeah, that is more snow Monday of next week. In fact, that could be accumulating snow once again Monday of next week.
Okay, thanks, Josh. Coming up, much ado about language.
We proudly live in a bilingual country. And companies like Air Canada particularly have a responsibility to always communicate in both official languages regardless of the situation.
Why Air Canada's CEO has been summoned to Ottawa following a deadly crash, and
these jobs are stressful. These jobs are demanding, and they are, you tend to burn out quick in this type of job.
Addressing a North America-wide problem, a shortage of air traffic controllers.
Programming brought to you by Senior Home Care by Angels, Canada's choice in home care. Programming brought to you by James H. Brown Injury Lawyers, the heavy hitters of injury law.
The CEO of Air Canada has been summoned to appear before a parliamentary committee. As CTV's Annie Bergeron-Oliver reports, it's after he released a message updating Canadians on the Air Canada crash at LaGuardia Airport that included just 2 words in French.
Hello, bonjour.
That was one of 2 French words spoken by Michael Rousseau in a nearly 4-minute video updating Canadians on the LaGuardia crash.
Somber day.
A unilingual message the Prime Minister said showed a lack of compassion and judgment.
We proudly live in a bilingual country. And companies like Air Canada particularly have a responsibility to always communicate in both official languages regardless of the situation. I'm very disappointed, as others are.
In a statement, Air Canada says its CEO wanted to address everyone affected and that French subtitles were used. Despite his efforts, his ability to express himself in French does not allow him to convey such a sensitive message in that language as he would wish. A decision that isn't sitting well with members of the House Official Languages Committee, who summoned Rousseau to appear by May 1st.
Unacceptable, because it's repeat the situation.
In 2021, Rousseau committed to learning French after an English-only speech before Montreal's Chamber of Commerce prompted protests and calls for his resignation, a situation that brought Rousseau before the same parliamentary committee.
I admit I made a mistake by not learning to speak French when I joined Air Canada.
Quebec's premier wants Rousseau to resign. If he still doesn't speak French today, it's a lack of respect. Experts question why Rousseau didn't try to read some prepared remarks in French.
It's non-ideal communications. It was a communications goof, but is it a PR disaster that will have lasting impact on the brand? I don't think so.
Air Canada is subject to the Official Languages Act, and so far the Office of the Commissioner of Official Languages has received more than 790 complaints. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
The Air Canada plane crash has shone a light on the lack of air traffic controllers, and not just south of the border. NAV Canada, which oversees our air traffic controllers, has acknowledged a staffing shortfall. CTV's Heather Wright reports.
More than 500,000 planes take off and land at major Canadian airports every month. The safe flow of that traffic all managed by air traffic controllers.
But we are short. There's no doubt about it.
John Graddick teaches aviation management at McGill University and says there are not enough air traffic controllers working in Canada.
These jobs are stressful. These jobs are demanding, and they are, you tend to burn out quick. This type of job.
Air traffic controllers in the United States are being scrutinized after Sunday's fatal collision between an Air Canada plane and a fire truck at New York's LaGuardia Airport. The U.S. National Transportation Safety Board says it's too early in its investigation to determine exactly what happened. NAV Canada, which certifies and hires air traffic personnel in Canada, acknowledged it is, quote, managing workforce pressures, but declined to say how many people it is short. The organization traces its staffing challenges back to the pandemic, when air travel shut down and many controllers were laid off or took early retirement. Training classes were also disrupted. We are actively addressing staffing through a comprehensive multi-year strategy focused on recruitment, training, and retention, NAV Canada said in a statement. The agency says in 2024-2025, staffing growth exceeded attrition by 26%. But getting new workers on the job takes time, up to 36 months. Canada's transportation minister says he is working with NAV Canada to address the shortage, reiterating that air travel in Canada remains safe.
We take every precautionary measure and make sure that Canada continues to perform at the highest levels of security.
And that security, along with the challenging nature of this job, is reflected in the numbers. Last year, NAV Canada says they had 49,000 applicants, hiring just 500 into their training program. Heather Wright, CTV News, Toronto.
Iran has rejected a U.S. ceasefire plan. Instead, it's laying out its own conditions for ending the war. Iranian state media reports the counteroffer includes war reparations and sovereignty over the Strait of Hormuz. Iran launched more attacks on Israel and its Gulf neighbors today, including an assault that sparked a huge fire at Kuwait International Airport. New satellite imagery of Lebanon is giving us a before and after view of several bridges destroyed by Israeli strikes. In the past week and a half, Israel has destroyed 13 bridges over the Litani River in southern Lebanon as part of its campaign against Hezbollah. Israel's defense minister says Israel plans to control the remaining bridges in the area up to the river, amounting to nearly a tenth of the country. An Australian dog hailed as a prolific hero and a very good boy is hanging up his collar. This is Bear, an 11-year-old Australian coolie. He's retiring after a decade of service. He's credited with saving over 100 koalas from wildfires. He was one of the first dogs to be trained on the scent of koala fur to help protect the country's iconic animals as fires threatened their population. The next installment of the Lord of the Rings franchise has found a new writer. Late Show host Stephen Colbert says he'll co-write and develop the new film. It'll be the second of 2 upcoming movies in the fantasy series. Colbert says the film will be based on parts of J.R.R. Tolkien's The Fellowship of the Rings book that didn't make it into the original movies. Comedy drama North of North received the most nominations for the upcoming Canadian Screen Awards.
When people ask where I'm from, I say think of the furthest place north you've ever been. Now keep going.
North of North is up for 20 awards, including Best Comedy Series. Heated Rivalry, Crave's hockey romance, is up for 18 awards, including Best Drama. The awards show will be hosted by Andrew Fung. It will air May 31st on multiple platforms and stations, including CTV and Crave. CTV and Crave are both divisions of Bell Media.
Yes.
Still to come, addressing grocery affordability.
This is a progressive way to tackle the revenue system in our province, certainly. So I'd encourage the federal government to do it.
Manitoba's challenge for the feds and their reaction. And
they entered our homes quietly, catching families completely unprepared. We became the testing ground, and so did our children.
The jury finds Instagram and YouTube liable in a landmark social media addiction trial. Looking at the markets, the Canadian dollar holding steady near 72 cents U.S. Oil was down $2.03, closing at $90.32 a barrel. Gold gained more than $150. The TSX and Dow Jones both finished the day higher, up 441 and 305 points, respectively. At a time when some Canadians are struggling to afford life's necessities, Prime Minister Mark Carney claims affordability is the best it's been in over a decade. Now, Manitoba Premier Wab Kinew is challenging the federal government. CTV's Michael Couture has more.
Families are struggling.
Affordability issues are always important, yeah.
The cost of living crisis continues to be top of mind for a majority of Canadians. And federal politicians could be forced to do more, in part because the Manitoba government is removing the provincial sales tax on some items at the grocery store.
This is a progressive way to tackle the revenue system in our province, certainly. So I'd encourage the federal government to do it.
MPs from both sides of the aisle seemed open to the idea.
We are all obviously very, very sensitive to affordability issues, and obviously we'll look at any initiative coming from any corner that would make life easier for Canadians.
The government's prepared to have that conversation with us and include real measures that, cutting taxes like the industrial carbon tax, we would be very open to those conversations.
In January, the federal government boosted the former GST credit by 25% and renamed it the Canada Groceries and Essentials Benefit. The changes mean the average family of 4 will get nearly $2,000 in 2026 and $1,400 each of the following years. It's expected to help 12 million low-income Canadians. And some economists believe it's better to target those people.
And ensure that they have a fair amount more, hundreds of dollars more a year, as opposed to reducing the sales tax on everybody in grocery stores for those who need it, as well as those who don't.
Now, the Trudeau government did provide a 2-month GST holiday to Canadians at the end of 2024, and it cost federal coffers $1.5 billion. But the parliamentary budget officer did note it kept inflation down while it was in place. Mike Lecouteur, CTV News, Ottawa.
A jury has found both Meta and YouTube liable in a first-of-its-kind lawsuit that aimed to hold social media platforms responsible for harm to children. As ABC's Jacqueline Lee reports, this is just the start of a wave of litigation that could lead to major changes for the industry.
A jury today finding social media platforms Meta and YouTube liable for causing harm to children using their platforms. The landmark Los Angeles trial garnered national attention. The plaintiff in the case, a 20-year-old woman identified as Kaylee, testified, describing what she calls addiction to social media that began after she started watching YouTube when she was 6 years old, telling jurors she now suffers from anxiety, depression, and body dysmorphia. Because I spent all my time on my phone, it affected how I saw myself, Kaylee told jurors. Her testimony last month came 1 week after Mark Zuckerberg, the CEO of Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram, spent nearly 8 hours on the stand defending accusations Meta set goals to increase the time users spent on the apps. Zuckerberg testifying, "I think I've been clear that we used to have goals on this, and then we changed that." During his testimony, Zuckerberg defending Instagram's account settings aimed at protecting teens on the platform. At the start of the trial, a Meta spokesperson telling ABC News in a statement that the company strongly disagrees with the allegations. Google, the parent company of YouTube, saying the allegations are simply not true and that they have provided parents robust controls on the platform. And this is just the first in what is likely to be a wave of litigation nationwide, with parents and online safety advocates demanding change.
These products were launched to us without guardrails, without education, without warning to any parents. They entered our homes quietly, catching families completely unprepared. We became the testing ground, and so did our children.
Social media companies TikTok and Snap were also named defendants in the lawsuit, but settled prior to trial. Jacqueline Lee, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Still ahead, Connor McDavid hits another milestone.
Here's a chance. McDavid, a bouncing puck, scores! Connor McDavid with his 400th career goal.
What the captain and his team are really focused on in the final games of the season.
We've got another great night of entertainment coming up right here on CTV, starting at 7 with E-Talk.
Connor McDavid reached a new career milestone during last night's game against the Utah Mammoth.
Last year he's right back on. Here's a chance. McDavid, a bouncing puck, scores! Connor McDavid with his 400th career goal.
McDavid scored goal number 400 during the second period. He later added an empty netter. McDavid now has 401 career goals in 784 games. With their 5-2 win over Utah, the Oilers passed the Vegas Golden Knights for second in the Pacific Division. Tomorrow night's game against Vegas is big, and the Oilers are now ahead by 1 point.
Yeah, obviously a little extra motivation for those types of games, and it's not quite the playoffs, but it almost feels like that a little bit, and kind of a precursor to the playoffs.
Yeah, there's a lot on the line here, not only for making playoffs, but seeding, and maybe it's a home ice advantage situation hitting playoffs time.
Tomorrow night's game in Las Vegas begins at 7:30. And the Edmonton Oil Kings begin their quest to become Western Hockey League champions this Friday. The third-place Oil Kings face the sixth-place Saskatoon Blades in the first round of the WHL playoffs. It's the first time these two teams have met in the playoffs since 2008. The last time the Oil Kings were WHL champions, 2022. Game 1 Friday at 7 at Rogers Place. I gotta say, Josh, I saw their last game of the season Sunday. They stomped Calgary, and they looked fantastic, so look out, Saskatoon.
So you're the good luck charm. You have to show up on Friday, is what you're saying.
Definitely, yeah. I think that's it. All right, see you there.
There you go. Temperatures tomorrow on the chilly side once again. Minus 16 in the morning, minus 9 in the afternoon. At least the wind will be down. Mostly cloudy skies. Minus 1s, minus 2s for Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Maybe we poke just slightly above 0 1 or 2 of those days, but the average daytime high by the time we hit the weekend is in that 5 or 6 degree range. Not even close. Right through into Monday, and a good chance of some more snow on Monday. In fact, maybe several centimeters of snow Monday into Tuesday morning. It's probably not until not this coming weekend, but the next weekend, the Easter weekend, that we see temperatures steadily start to climb back to around average.
Okay, thank you, Josh, and thanks for sharing your time with us. For news anytime, check out our website, ctvnewsedmonton.ca. Have a great evening.